All right, good morning, everyone. My name is Joe Malsom. I'm currently detailed as a recruitment coordinator for the state, and I'm also an IC trainee on Nevada Team 3. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We appreciate your interest and support in Nevada teams. I ask that anyone who is not speaking, turn off your microphones and your cameras. And then additionally, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat and we'll answer them at the end. And now for our first speaker this morning, John Raby, BLM Nevada State Director. If you're ready, John, the floor is yours.
Okay, hey, thanks, Joe. Really appreciate it, and it's great to see so many folks that are joined us here today. It's really a testament. I know folks' commitment to the Wildland Fire Program. It was interesting to me, and Paul Peterson and I were talking about this. It's been a little bit, but we've had our Type 3 incident management teams for over 20 years now, so that's a lot to be proud of, and it really shows again a lot of forward thinking in the fire program here in BLM, Nevada, and I give a lot of credit to Paul and to Brock and others who've been here for so many years to really stand up our Type 3 incident management teams to take care of so many different things that you're all going to encounter. We really lean on the Type 3 teams for many things, and again, it's great to see so many folks who are interested in participating in the IMTs. When you do participate in a Type 3 IMT, I mean, you're doing a lot to develop your leadership skills and to take on some new challenges. When I first started in BLM, it's been over 30 years now. When I started in BLM, and the first training I went to in my first week on the job was guard school. I went to first 40 hours when I was in Coos Bay, and went out and we did this at Southwest Oregon Community College, and so I did a number of fire assignments over the years, either on Type 2 crews or engines, and I didn't have a lot of IMT experience other than when I got into an agency administrator role, and that opened up a whole new world for me of career opportunities and just some additional skill sets that you can bring, not only to your resume, but things you can, help contribute to other parts of BLM, and when you go, whether it's within the state, you're off district, or you're even, at times when you go out of state. And I know our Type 3 teams have been, they've gone everywhere from Alaska to North Carolina on different assignments, and so that's fantastic, and it speaks to the quality of our Type 3 IMTs, and it really. You're going to build a lot of relationships as part of your IMT 3 experience. I still have friends that I've made over the years that we stay in touch, and we met on fires. When I was either in Oregon or Washington or Northern California. You're just going to build some lifelong relationships, and again, in addition to those skill sets, you're also going to be afforded some opportunities where you can have some flexibility in your team assignments. I think nowadays, and we saw, I mean, one of the few benefits I think of COVID was that it forced us to sort of adapt and come up with some opportunities for positions that could be potentially a little bit more remote, or more focused in more camp settings with again, logistics and plans and finance. Those are positions where you are a lot of times in camp, and many people can, you feel a little bit like you need to maintain some of your work assignments in your home unit, and you can do some of that, right? So if you run into some of that tug and pull of priority work, and then also when you have that interest in supporting wildland fire assignments, because it's an incredibly important part of our job, that emergency response, and when you feel like you have to choose, that can make it kind of difficult. And so if you don't have to choose, that's great. You can be on a fire assignment, do some of your work at home for home at the same time. That's kind of the best of both worlds, and some positions provide for that. I'm a big fan of you advancing your skill sets too, and using this as an opportunity to move up into Type 2, Type 1 IMTs as well. We talk a lot about this concept of speed to competency, and the only way you get that really is through experience. Obviously training, we do a lot of training, but doing it through that direct experience is the best way. And I really support the use of trainees and getting some diverse experience out there. So again, just want to welcome everybody. Thank you for those of you who have stepped up and are on this call, and really, I think we're going to have probably a pretty active summer. All things, are pointing to that direction, and again, just appreciate the opportunity to spend a few minutes with you. And I know, Joe, I was going to just check and see if Paul had anything he wanted to add as well, since he's with me here in my office. So yeah, Paul.
Yeah, thanks, John.
Yeah.
Thanks, Joe, and everybody for putting this together. So as the Nevada Fire Board Chair, that is one of the high points that we have is our Nevada Type 3 incident management teams. And as John said, they have been to every Western U.S. state, as well as Alaska, North Carolina a couple of years ago. And there's not a week that goes by throughout the summer where we don't get a call asking if we have a Nevada Type 3 team available somewhere, whether it's a ramp up to a Type 2, whether it's a ramp down from a Type 1 or Type 2. Our teams have the reputation of being able to step in and to manage those incidents effectively. So that's well recognized, and it's proud to be able to be with that also. So as John said, you get the experience to develop your leadership skills. The best part of the Type 3 incident management teams is the relationships, and everything that we do with the Type 3 incident management team starts at the ground level with some basic online training, and then everything else is on the job training. And so you learn as you go from a trainer. And so it's an opportunity to put your pinky toe in the pool and not jump in without floaties. So we ensure that everybody has adequate training and supervision and trainers to be successful. And you can progress through your fire career in the incident management teams and be highly successful moving up to a Type 1 or Type 2. And this is an entry level part. So thanks everybody for your participation, and look forward to seeing everybody out there.
All right, Joe, we'll turn it back to you. Thanks.
All right, thanks, John. Thanks, Paul. We appreciate you taking the time to join us today, and we appreciate your support of Nevada Type 3 teams. For those of you that may be new to teams, I wanted to give a basic overview. I think it's typical for people who think of management teams managing wildfires. However, it's important to remember that we can support a wide array of all risk incidents, such as hurricane relief. What I enjoy about teams and what I feel like the highlight of team participation is the camaraderie and the relationships formed in the team environment. Additionally, the travel that's involved, the locations you end up seeing. For me personally, one of the highlights was Stanley, Idaho. But if it's money that piques your interest, there's overtime opportunities on teams, and that could be your reason for joining. A concern of people interested in teams is getting their supervisor approval to participate. When on team assignments, it can provide cost savings to your program funds, and there are often times when you can still complete your virtual workload while on the assignment. If you join a team as a trainee, after you're trained in that position, there are times you can participate on the team completely remotely. So those are some highlights that I wanted to touch on. I'll now be turning it over to Matt Crosswaite, IC for Nevada Team 4.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Matt Crosswaite, IC, Nevada Team 4. Started on the teams about 4 years ago as division, worked up to operations. Now currently IC/deputy IC as well. One of the great things about the Nevada teams is being able to not only help the state of Nevada and the Great Basin, but has already been mentioned, is going out of the geographical area. Point Reyes, California, Alaska, Montana. We've had teams in North Dakota. And the great thing about the teams is the unique challenge it presents, and going into these areas where you don't know the area, you don't know the people, you go in there and you establish some relationships with cooperators and other agencies. And then your team itself, we always have moving parts and new team members coming in, trying to train them up and eventually get them on the team. But you're going into these very dynamic, chaotic situations, and being able to bring a calm with your team and being able to contain and control that chaos as well as the fire itself. So it just presents a real unique challenge. And one thing we're looking for with the teams is people want to come out in these different sections: finance, logistics, ops, plans, all that. And more so with the Type 3 teams, what makes it unique from Type 1 and Type 2 teams, where they have huge staff that could help accommodate. Type 3 teams were pretty short staffed, so it's more of an all hands on deck approach. So you might go out on the team in your said function. It might be what you're training and working towards, but any situation that comes up, we're all helping each other. We're going outside of our lane. You could be helping with check-in, meal deliveries, crew shuttles. If you're red carded, there's even a possibility you end up on the fire line when fire blows off the hill at night. It does happen. So a lot of challenges, and I think that brings the team really close together. The whole team has a real strong relationship, not just said function. So yeah, that Swiss Army knife person that could come out and kind of do not only their job, but could help everybody else is huge. Another great thing about the type 3 teams is it is kind of schedule friendly. So if you have a set window throughout the summer where you could go out, you could look at the type 3 team rotation and find out what window works for you and what team's up for rotation then, and call that IC, reach out to the teams and try to get rostered with that team for that rotation. So most of the times we're pretty accommodating to that, and the more people we could get trained up for the future, the better. But it's just a great situation to go into to these difficult, overwhelming scenarios, and then 14 days later to have a calm to it and be able to provide that for not just Nevada, but any forest or unit you go to. So I'll be around at the end for any questions if needed. Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot, Matt. All right, so our next speaker will be Sierra Brewer. She's going to be our finance section subject matter expert. So Sierra, if you're ready, take it.
Okay, so Sierra Brewer, I am finance section chief for team 2, and I've been a part of the team for I think around like 6 years. I love the type 3 teams just because they are like all hands on deck, and you get to like dabble in everything. So in the finance section, I fill underneath myself, I fill a equipment time recorder, EQTR, and their responsibility is to capture the time for contractors and make sure that they're compliant with their contract. I also fill a PTRC, which is a personal time recorder, and their duty is to capture the time of all personnel on the fire, and making sure like their work rest ratio 2-to-1 is being adhered to. Another position that I don't fill all the time is a comp claims unit leader, and that I feel is when it starts eating my lunch. There's too many injuries or too many claims on the fire. So I usually take care of that, but if there's too many, then I hire that position. Finance in a whole is to capture their financial admin, finance is to capture the cost of the fire. So what I do is I pull reports, I analyze, I make sure that things make sense. If I look at the report and think, hey, there's no more aircraft on this fire, and it's capturing a cost, then it's like, I got to do my due diligence and kind of go through the program and make sure, take it out or make changes to it. I process payments. I am under the IC. I also keep track of anything that happens during the fire. I make lists and a document. So at the end, when we turn the fire back over to the district, I have captured anything significant that happened on the fire. And then also like recommendations for the district on pros and cons of how everything went. I think that's it. I'll be around for questions also.
Hey, outstanding. Thank you, Sierra. Okay, now we'll be moving on to Lewis Brown, our planning section subject matter expert. So Lewis, if you're ready, take it.
Hey, good morning, everyone. My name is Lewis Brown. I'm the plans section trainee on Nevada Team 5. And just here to talk to you about the plans shop type 3 team. Our main goal in the plans section is to process information and intelligence for the incident. And we also kind of do a role as kind of the MC, leading most meetings for the team and also all operational briefings. So managing all aspects of our incident is pretty much what we do, from the planning stage, the situation, we manage resources in the check-in and demo, not only of the resources, but of the team. Some positions that we may or may not carry or encompass as the plan section trainee is resource unit leader. So we track all resources on the incident from the time they step into check-in and step onto that incident. We track them daily on the IAP, and then we also run them through DMO, maintaining accountability of those resources at all times. One position we carry underneath that resource unit leader, and that's a key position, is the status check-in recorder. It's an entry-level position that we can talk about more later. Also, we kind of dual purpose as a situational unit leader. So we're tracking all the fire throughout the incident as far as field operations, field observations, and then fire behavior. So we also run a GIS, so Geographical Information System Specialist. So nothing makes a good briefing like a good map. So we use those GIS folks to build those good maps for us. And then some of the other duties that encompassed in the plans shop are the incident summary each afternoon, or the 209. So this is the way that we set priorities for our incident on a national level so that we can continue to get resources to our fire. You may be able to see that as the SIT report as you pull that daily. Other big things that we do in the plan shop are the production of the incident action plan, and also the final narrative stating all actions that were taken on the incident. One other position that we may carry is the doggle. So we hold all documentation for everything that has happened on that incident. If there aren't any questions, I'll turn it back to Joe.
Great. That was some good information there, Lewis. Thank you for your time. So our next speaker is going to be James Hamilton, our logistics section logistics section subject matter expert. So James, if you're ready, go ahead and take it.
Hey, how's it going, guys? So I'm James Hamilton with the Plumas National Forest. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about logistics in the incident management teams. As we all know, logistics plays a critical role in the success of incident management teams. Without logistics, a lot of critical components would fail. Everybody knows that food and supplies are critical on incidents. I know a lot of people understand that logistics isn't the most desired position, but it's also one of the most challenging positions that we got. It's very engaged, very fast paced. We have several logistics sections. Some of those include the facilities unit, ground support units, communications units, food units, supply and medical, just to name a few. Some of those logistical duties provide resources and services to support the incident. We'll provide logistical input to the IAP as well. We'll be attending all the briefings for logistical staff as needed. And we'll also identify anticipation for incident service and support requirements. We will request additional resources as needed through operations and need be. We will ensure to oversee development of communications, medical, traffic plans as required. We will also oversee demobilization of the logistics session and also associated resources. Some of the facilities units, some of the things that you guys will deal with, will coordinate with the agency administrators or designate the log section chief to identify locations such as ICP or base camps or spike camps, helibase, some staging areas, contingency or any kind of expansion sites. Additionally, we'll also complete like the daily shower invoices and ship tickets for any contracted equipment and submit all their paperwork according to protocols. Additionally, we'll perform some project duties such as like shower contracts. We'll ensure facility maintenance services are provided, such as sanitation, porta potties, lighting towers, potable water, stuff like that. ground support units, we will also provide assigned resources, including fuel, equipment inspections, mechanical services and repairs, any kind of transportation and drivers and rental vehicles. Additionally, we'll coordinate with operations section for placement of drop points. We ensure signage is placed along the transportation routes, drop points, any kind of staging areas, any water sources to be marked, road junctions and service locations. We'll also collect and record any kind of information, rental contract, or agency equipment. We do provide the fuel service and maintenance and repair of other vehicles through ground support. We also coordinate with home units regarding vehicle repairs for agency or cooperator equipment. Additionally, maintenance and repairs of incident roads is also falls under logistics after the incident is completed. We do pre and post use vehicle equipment inspections before the incident and after the incident. Communications, we request any kind of additional communication services such as cell phones, any kind of SATCOMs, microwave, any kind of telecommunications that we're going to need, any kind of AM or FM air to ground frequencies for operations and air attack. We'll establish incident command centers and provide guidance related to specific needs of the ICC. We also coordinate with the incident communications for air ops, operational system coverage, and logistical section needs. We also do that for the medical unit and help them with the medical evacuation plan. We will initiate and maintain accurate records of any kind of communication equipment that we have on the incident. Also, we prepare incident radio communication plans, the ICS 205s, ensure the plan is dependent on local frequencies to prevent any kind of conflict that we may have. Additionally, we review the IAP and correct frequencies as need be for any issues that we have, and we ensure that ICS 205 is also accurate and complete and submitted to the planning section for inclusion into the IAP. We assign communication equipment and appropriate units as personnel. We install communication equipment, and we also demo all the equipment as well. That brings us into the food unit. So food unit, we basically perform project inspection duties for any kind of administration of the National Mobile Food Service contract. We will review any food unit layout and contractor representative to determine the needs or any changes. We review and approve meals and menus to determine if the content and variety and serving sizes meet the contract specifications. We also gather information for daily meals and provide the contractor with the meal scheduling, number of meals ordered, and the actual meals served, like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We monitor refrigerated units for proper temperature, proper storage, and expiration dates of the stored items. We will maintain appropriate inventory of the lunches and to meet lunch meal requirements when avoiding a higher than need inventory, resulting in any kind of disposal of expired lunches. We will assure service line temperatures meet requirements, safe food handling, preparation, holding, serving, and storage practices. Additionally, we'll ensure mobile food service unit provides equipment and supplies specified in their contract, and review the kitchen unit contract, including any past pertinent performance evaluations or quality control plans or equipment specifications. We'll do periodic inspections to ensure quality and quantity specifications of the meals. Ensure that the special meal requirements are also recognized and met for firefighters with any kind of meal requirements. Next unit is going to be our supply unit. So we basically develop a plan with any kind of ordering unit and provide the operations and resource unit with any mobilization updates as required or needed daily. We will secure and supply the unit footprint, develop a layout, and sign the unit area appropriately. We will review the supply unit layout and communicate with the ground support unit leaders and security and the facilities unit leader for any kind of access to deliveries, parking, or room to expand. We also review expectations of receiving distribution on deliveries and the ordering manager in any kind of ordering process. We do stay in communication with expanded dispatch and the incident business.
Sorry about that. Looks like we might have lost James there, but as we can see, there's a lot of hats to fill in the logistics section and they can use as much help as they can get. So now we're going to be moving on to Jacob Chadwick. He's going to be our public information officer, subject matter expert. So go ahead, Jacob, when you're ready.
Hey everyone, I'm Jacob Chadwick. I am, well, I'm a geographer by training, but I went out on my first fire in 2021 as a public information officer trainee. And my job there was to basically talk to the public and talk to the operations groups and make sure I know what's happening on the ground and communicate that with both folks. So I took photos, I made videos, I did social media, and we handled what was called the trap line, which was basically bulletin boards they had around the towns that we would have to go and change the information on it on a daily basis as the fire progressed or regressed. And I'm actually really just want to talk to you about my first fire, which was pretty exciting, which was a couple years ago. And we drove up to Northern California, which is actually this photo back here. And it was exciting. I overpacked. I brought like literally a suitcase of clothes I couldn't wear. And then also I couldn't figure out how to set up my tent. So I slept in my car for 2 weeks, which was pretty exciting. It smelled kind of bad after 2 weeks, but that's okay. And then also catering, like there's food trucks that come and you get to have catered food 3 meals a day. A lot of people, well, just me, gained probably 5 pounds after my first fire. Not tell anyone that. Oh, one time I overslept and I was supposed to set up this meeting and I overslept by like an hour. And then I got up, I was like rushing to get over there. And when I got there, the meeting was already set up. And I think that's kind of a really beautiful thing about fire people. And when you go to a fire like this, you know, people have your back and there's a lot of camaraderie there. And it's something I didn't necessarily feel like I had on the resource side all the time. And, you know, prior to going to this fire, I was like a GIS guy. I was always on a computer, just staring at a screen. And this opportunity gave me the opportunity to get out and kind of see the country and work as a public information officer. And that's actually what I do now full time. So if you're looking to change your stars, maybe this could be an opportunity for you. I think that's about all I have for this talk, but if you have any questions, feel free to hit me up. Thanks.
Hey, that was great stuff, Jacob. I think we all have our first fire stories. So for those of you that might be new to this, join a team and make your first fire story for yourself. Okay, our final speaker today is going to be Kevin Krantz. He's going to talk about some of the training involved and what's involved in getting onto a team. So if you're ready, Kevin, I'll kick it back to you or kick it over to you.
Good morning, Kevin Krantz, Carson City BLM. I have the training officer duties there. And so the IM that came out, I believe last week, actually mirrors very well my notes, but we'll go through that. It outlines it very well and pretty much in order. First thing you want to do is you want to have a conversation with your supervisor that you have an interest in doing that, and whether you're allowed to go or the program can do without you for a period of time is a conversation you'll have to have with them. Also, what do you want to do? Hopefully there you have an idea. Do you want to work with aircraft? Do you want to work in finance, logistics? I know those are highly sought after positions. Help can also, if you can't leave for, 2 weeks at a time, there is also opportunity to help your local unit or district, supporting the warehouse, being a driver, for local incidents where you actually can go home at night and sleep in your own bed if that's something that works for you better than being gone for extended period of time. We're known for really long names for positions and reference material. Standards for wildland fire position qualifications, which we refer to as the 310-1. You can go to a website called nwcg.gov, and there's more material than that located there, but that'll give you a chance to look up positions, training requirements, what that position does. There's a lot of great information there to reference, especially if you don't have an idea of what you want to do. Another great resource is talk to folks that are in your district, in your unit, in your office that actually have a red card and have gone out. They're a great source of information to see what it's like to be camping for 14 days or whatnot. Hit them up. They're a good resource to reference. Next, you want to identify who has those responsibilities at your home unit, the training officer responsibilities. I know in the IM for the districts that are listed at the end of the page there, reach out to them. If you don't know, wander down to fire management or your captain or your BC that works there, and they can point you in the right direction. Referencing that IM again, it gives some steps you need to take. Preferably you've talked to your training officer or you've emailed them on some level, and then instead of just jumping into those requirements such as the new responder form and those FEMA trainings, they'll need some information from you so they can build a profile in IQCS, which is the Incident Qualification and Certification System for the federal agencies. And then municipalities use IQS, Incident Qualification System, and it's a database. You have a profile. It keeps track of your training, your work capacity test, if that is part of that job code, your experience, things like that. And that's how you actually get ordered working within other systems, but that would need to be created. Again, there's 2 FEMA courses, regardless of what entry level position you want to do, that need to be taken. ICS 100, ICS 700, and basically those are introductions to the ICS system, Incident Command System. So the IC, Incident Commander, and what that structure looks like below them. There is additional training that could be district or agency specific. So I know for BLM, do what's right is a requirement for any red card holder. And again, there may be additional stuff for outside agencies or specific things they would like you to do. There are a couple of, maybe not even a couple, but one comes to mind that requires the work capacity test, and that is Base Camp Manager, and it's a light. I don't think any entry level position other than maybe Firefighter 2 requires anything above that. I could be mistaken, but just for reference, the light work capacity test is 1 mile, 16 minutes with no weight, no pack. So it's just ensuring that you are able to function in a capacity to perform that position. And if you do happen to need a work capacity test, there's different processes depending on what level, light, medium, or arduous. Some of it is as simple as filling out a questionnaire, and depending on how you answer those questions, you may just be able to continue to take it and be carded. Others require a physical, and that is all paid for by the government. So once you have kind of figured out what you want to do, your training officer will issue a PTB or position task book. And basically that is a job aid, if you will. That's not the correct term, but it lists the tasks that you need to perform for that position. And again, you could go to the NWCG website to find out what those are. You can look at those task books to see what you're getting into and what is required for that position. Training officer or the FMO generally will issue that task book, depending on how that organization is structured. But those folks will be able to point you in the right direction to have that happen. Once you have done all the required training, attended refresher, fire line refresher, you will be issued what we call a red card, and that lists your qualifications, basically a license of what you're allowed to do. I had a thought that had escaped me. And the next position or next step after you are completed the training and are red carded would be to apply for a team once that announcement comes out. And then that is generally, I'm not sure of the time frame, but it will get disseminated to folks in your district, cooperators. I'm sure there's an email list to reach out for folks beyond just BLM. And if you get selected, they will let you know, and more than likely you will be on a rotation for that team. There's a handful of teams, and they'll rotate, I believe, on a 2-week period of who's supposed to be available and who is off. But all those details will be worked out once you get selected and you get tied in with the incident commander or the plan section chief, depending on how they have their duties disseminated. Again, reference that IM. It's really detailed and in a good order. And that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Really good information there. We're going to move on to some questions now. We have first up, we have a question for the IC. So Matt Crossway, if you want to hop in there and take that question.
Yeah, absolutely, Joe. So the question is, I am currently assigned to a Great Basin Type 1 team, but can I be on call? Can I be on a call out list if any Type 3 team needs help? I am fully qualified in 4 finance positions and a trainee in 2 positions. So yeah, a couple parts of that. I'd say the first thing is making sure that doesn't mess up your obligation to the Type 1 team if you're actually rostered with them, and maybe making sure you have approval there as well as with your supervisor. But if you have a gap in rotations with the Type 1 team, right now we are currently working on the Nevada team rotations, and once that comes out and you have a 2-week window where you're free and available with those qualifications, whatever team is on rotation in that window, I'd say kind of that Swiss Army knife person we're looking for with being a trainee as well as qualified in a few positions, we would definitely look at picking you up. And one thing the Type 3 teams do, all the ICs, we get together, we share names and numbers and qualifications, and we have a working short list of people that can't fully commit to the team but may be available if the timing works out, and we could get you on that list. And I believe Jake sent out a nomination form, so go ahead, fill that out so we have your information. And once you're signed up, yeah, like I said, if the timing works out, more than happy to take you out with the teams. If it doesn't work out, then, no hurt feelings. We understand people have other commitments and things. So a lot of flexibility there, but the more names we could get on the short list and more qualified people we could get into the system, the better. So I'd say absolutely we could do that.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt. It looks like we have a question for finance. Sierra, if you see that, if you want to hop in there and get that answered.
Yes, hold on. I'm on my phone. I think the question was, what would be my entry-level job experience in finance? Or what would be my entry-level job? Yeah, in finance. And do I need fire experience? Entry level, the way I started was I literally just asked my supervisor how I could support fire because they went as logistics, and he had me go to the training person and just see what kind of positions they would need, and they said finance really needs it. And so I opened a task book for PTRC, so personal time recorder, and then EQTR, equipment time recorder. And so I enjoy both. I opened a task book and I was able to start in finance. So there's no experience that's needed.
Awesome. Thank you, Sarah. Okay, we have another question in here for the logistics section. James, can you see that question? And go ahead and answer if you can.
Yes. So, what is a highlight of being part of the logistics section? I would say the highlight for me would be actually watching the team work and see how the team all works together and blends and meshes well. Basically seeing it start from the beginning all the way through the incident. I'd say that would have to be the best. I've seen some phenomenal medical unit situations where we've had and the way that the team all comes together to handle those incidents, I would say it's been one of the highlights of being part of a log section team.
Great. Thanks for that, James. Looks like we have a planning question in here, and then well, it looks like we might have one training question, so we'll kick it over to Lewis Brown. If you want to jump in and answer that planning question.
So the question that was asked is creating an IAP an entry-level role. As stated before, there's a lot of people working in the plan section wearing a lot of hats. There's not necessarily a position solely to producing that IAP on a type 3 team. But if we're not carrying a resource unit leader or a SIT unit leader, everyone just kind of pulls together and gets that IAP done throughout the day through synergy and use of everybody. The entry level for the plans, I would say, would be the status check-in recorder is the most needed. It's basic quals needed to get into that position, which would be L180, N9062, which is the EI suite program, and then also S248, which is actually the status check-in recorder class. But that would be the entry level into plans, unless you wanted to hop right into looking into the resource unit leader or plans 3.
Okay, good stuff. Thanks, Lewis. Okay, we'll kick it back to training officer Kevin Kranz.
So I have a question. Can I apply for a team and then get red carded once accepted as a trainee? For 1 and 2, for type 1 and 2 teams, no. And I know, so I just want to make that clear. And we are targeting the type 3 teams. So that is yes. You definitely want to have a conversation with the training officer and get that all buttoned up, and the IC letting him or her know of your intentions and the level of your commitment to follow through on that that training, because the timeline for when the application process comes out, which is now, and then obviously the training has not yet been scheduled. So good communication with those two folks, and yes, you can.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Kevin. It looks like we got one last question that just came in. Is when is the application period, and will it be delivered via email or another channel? So that's basically, I think it's a Google Forms nomination form. Those are due by February 15th. You'll fill that all off virtually, send it off, and then you'll get a reply back virtually. So hopefully that answers your question. If we get any other questions, this is all the time we have for today, but we will follow up with any questions that come in the chat. So if you still have something that we didn't answer, throw it into that chat, and we'll get them recorded and we'll follow up with you individually. Thanks a lot from all the speakers today, everybody that helped put this together. We really appreciate the effort. And thanks to everybody that joined and that has interest in the Nevada Type 3 teams. Let's make this year a success for the teams, and I hope to see each and every one of you out there that has an interest in joining. Thank you for your time.